What's up tonight?
Oh man, it's a lot going on. We need to do a what the heel moment right about now because it's a lot of what the heel is going on around the country, around the world with racism. And so I feel like we need to talk about what's going on.
Yeah, it is a lot going on. I have been in turmoil, as I know most of you have, thinking about just what's been happening over the past week, just the past few days, actually.
Yeah.
But this past week, and the first incident that I'm referencing is George Floyd. Of course, we know that's the young man who was killed by the police, and there's so much rioting going on in the city right now. It's just a lot going on.
It's just like sometimes when the head is out of order, look like the whole body. And that scripture is so right. It's so relevant today.
Yeah.
Because if the head is spewing out hate, if the head is spewing out racism, if the head is spewing out all these disgraceful kind of things, it kind of trickle down to the body. It's always been there. And so now I think it's been exposed. And so this is a case with the George Floyd case. It's ridiculous. I'm really out. I don't even really have words to explain how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I can't share what I really want to say, but it's disgusting and disgraceful how we are being targeted every day.
Yeah,
and so
it's such a horrible thing. I didn't watch the video. I'm not a fan of watching people's last moments. I did not watch the video, but I did click on it. And when I saw that it was leading to something, I said, you know what, I can't take this. And I learned later that it was the actual video of his death. You know, it was such a tragic thing. Just seeing the picture is such a tragedy. And when I look at it from, you know, my young men that I have, my boys that I'm raising, and to think about that all this stuff is happening.
Well, I had an opportunity to see the video, and I saw that the man was not resisting at all. He was originally brought in because of for a check or whatever, and they had him handcuffed, and he was walking normal. He wasn't like trying to break a loose or anything like that. And then the next video, I could see him on the ground. The police officer had his neck pinned down. He's saying, "I can't breathe," and those onlooker was standing by saying, "He can't breathe, let him up." And the police officer had his knee on George Floyd's neck, and the man was like, "I can't breathe." I don't know what happened between, you know, him with his hands behind his back versus on the ground saying, "I can't breathe." And so this is how we are being treated. We're being treated like animals. And I don't understand. Like, I saw other stuff, but this is crazy. And I have a son too. And I'm afraid. I have a son and I have 2 grandsons. And, you know, just to think by the color of our skin, we're going to have to, you know, have cameras all the time for our protection because, you know, our young men are being slaughtered every day.
Every day.
Oh my gosh. So this is, it's dear to me to see, because that could have been my brother, my uncle, my son being killed for no reason. And I'm not resisting. They're not resisting. So what in the world is going on in this country? And like I said, it comes from the head.
Oh yeah.
It comes definitely from the head.
He is, I mean, we have to think about like the time that we're in, and we really got to get to the point. And what now I'm going to tell you what really set me off, Yolanda. I know this has set you off, but what really set me off was the Cooper case that happened in New York.
Man,
I bust into tears after watching that. And so let me tell you something. It's this young lady. I don't even know her name, but she plays to the other part that always talk about black people always claiming racism. But it's nothing like watching a video of somebody being manipulative.
Yes.
And what got me is that she changed her voice. See, it wasn't even that she called or that she felt, you know, like he was getting ready to take her dog and all that stuff. Yeah, I get it. People who are dog owners, pet owners, you know, if he said, "Okay, watch what I'm gonna do," you might get a little scared, and you may call the police. But it wasn't that she called the police that I had the issue with. I had the issue with she changed her voice
to pretend like she was at danger, like he was chasing her. And I saw that video of that as well. And she was like, hey, this man, he's harming me and my dog just because he asked her to put your dog on the leash. That was the sign. That was the rule. That was the policy in that park. And she decides, I'm not going to listen. And that's kind of like a, white privilege kind of thing. And this is just like one case. But this case, I think his name was Christian Cooper. He's a bird watcher, so he's in the park,
right?
And when he sees this woman with her dog loose, and all of us, I have a dog, and I love animals, but all of us are not dog lovers, and so even that being said, you still need to have your dog on the leash. You
do.
You
especially
really do
when it's required. So if he asks you to put the dog on the leash. And like I said, I don't know the specifics. All I know is that I heard her voice. It reminded me of, imagine, what happened when during Emmett Till and all that thing, and how that person must have played it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In all these years, you think about all these black men, and there's other men too, but tonight we're specifically talking about black men. But think about all these black men.
But let me tell you something about that too. Let me tell you, even in that moment, what I think her name was Amy Cooper, even in that moment, she had already premeditated in her head what she was going to say, because she sees him from afar off. And when you see somebody, you already, I'm just telling you, you already have a premeditated thought.
And she said it.
And especially when somebody you don't want to tell you what to do, you already have a thought in your mind. And when her voice level changed, like you said, Shay,
my God. It was like she wanted provoking fear. And so what I was upset about, because what if the police had showed up? We may have a totally different narrative because of the way that she portrayed her voice and the way she tried to portray him and the issues that she had with him. And that is my issue with this, is that your privilege has allowed you to say, well, let me just change my voice so I can create this situation. Knowing what's been happening over the years when it comes to police officers and black men, it just knowing all of this, and you still.
Yeah, and the guy was in the park. He was in the park because he's a bird watcher, is the information that I read about him in New York. And so just imagine, he seems to be very intelligent. I heard him speak, and he was speaking, and he was rather calm. But watch this. Even in the video, if you all have not seen the video, even in the video, you could go in and see her approaching him. And she is now the aggressor. And he was like, ma'am, stop. But she felt the need to say, don't you feel me? And then go in and try to knock the camera out his hand.
And then call the police and said, my life is in danger. Yeah. That was beyond me.
But let me say this too, Shay. There was another case, and I don't know if you heard about this, where these guys had rented out a Airbnb.
Yes.
And so you remember that?
Yes, I watched it. Yes.
And the lady was in the hallway, and the guys were just like going to their room, and she was like, what are y'all doing here? As if though that they didn't have the same money that she had, which is green, to be in the same place. And she was like, what are y'all doing in here? How did y'all get in? He's like, we rented this place out just like you all. And so she began like, I'm calling the police because you are not allowed here. Great. And she stood in the hallway and she approached the guys. Some folks I'm not just going to approach.
She tried to close the door on them. Yeah.
This is like saying we're not supposed to be in the same place. Again, we have to be careful. We have to be mindful. And this is just one of two cases that we know. But there are several cases just like this to attack our people, our black men especially.
And let me tell you about this other video. And I know, guys, when I went down the rabbit trail, I went down the rabbit trail. But it was this video that was loaded yesterday. And I think this happened yesterday. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But a young man, older man, he had just had back surgery. And the police were arresting him, and they somehow he was on the ground, and he kept saying, I had back surgery, I had back injury, I just had back surgery, I can't put my hand behind my back. And they kept doing it. And not only did they kept trying, it was 4 police officers, and they kept trying to put his arm behind his back. And get this, they put their knee on his neck and his back, where he had just had
Just
his
said back.
surgery. And so
So why did they pull him over in the first place?
he was yelling, I just had back surgery. His family was yelling, he just had back surgery. And they hollering, what are you putting him in jail for? Because they were at the house, they were at a home. They were at a home and he was in the yard. So all of this was happening, and all he kept saying was, I just had back surgery. And they kept yelling, stop filming us. That's all they could say, stop filming us.
But watch the side of this. The side of this is, I recently saw a tape about a woman, I think her name is Deborah, in Oklahoma. She was driving this truck and she was pulled over by the police officer because of her tail light was broken, right? So the police officer pulled over and said, hey, you need a ticket because your tail light. And she's like, I'm not signing that because I've been driving this car for so many years and I've never been pulled over. White woman, probably in her early 60s. The police pulled her over and he was like, ma'am, you need to sign it. And she was like refusing to sign the ticket because she was like, I've been driving this car for I don't know how long and I'm not going to get this ticket. And so that led to her. The exchange was going on and on, okay, between her and the police officer. And so he was like, ma'am, get out the car. She locked the door. He said, ma'am, don't drive away. She drove away. Finally, she stopped. She ended up opening the car door and he yanks her out. But guess what? She's not dead. She's still alive because they tased her. White woman being tased, disrespectful to the police officer, but she's alive.
Talk back, everything. It's just a point. And so I do want to say this. I know that every police officer out there, when you put on that uniform, you are risking your life. There are some people who don't respect you. I get that. But your first reaction to everything should not be, because again, it was another case where this young man was in the car and the police officer yelled, gun, gun, gun. And he yelled, I don't have a gun. As he recorded, I don't have a gun. Because he started fearing his life because the police officer just started yelling gun and raised the gun at him. So you have to, we have to look at this. And, I'm tired. I'm tired too. I'm tired. And let me say, we have to do this have to be something radical. So what I'm asking each of you is to start praying that God gives someone the layout, the plan for what we need to do next. Because when you think about Martin Luther King and the journey that he was on, first of all, he didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to do this. But there was a plan behind that. He didn't just wake up and start doing stuff. It was a plan. It was a group of people working behind him and supporting him and directing him, and God was giving him direction. We need that. That is the type of coming together that we got to have.
And you know where it started from? In a church. And so our leaders, our bishops, our leaders, our pastors, we need to get together and begin to teach our members, our black men, our black women, how to respond in a time like this. I know we have it from time to time, but this needs to be an ongoing nationwide thing. How do we overcome this? How do we get past this? How we can be able to allow our black men, young black men, to live through this? Because I don't want to hear about another killing. I surely don't want to hear that. But it needs to start somewhere, and not only in our churches, but in our governments, in the government, in the White House. Leaders from that
That's
point.
how we're going to have to change by policies.
Yes.
And that requires a united front.
Right.
A united front, and then it has to be built on the Word of God. So stay tuned. We're just talking tonight. I know we're supposed to be talking about why do people cheat. We may get to it or not. But this week we are just dealing with all the things that's coming with it, coming with what's happened over the past few days. If you want to share your comments, if you want to give us feedback, we would love to hear from you. 334-269-6785. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Yeah, we just
see the iPad, baby.
We just really need to. I'm very passionate about this tonight, and you can see and hear in my voice that I think that there needs to be something. I don't want to come off to be a racist at all, but I'm afraid. Like I said, I have young...
that's my issue, is that a lot of people is pinning this, that you are racist because you are talking about this issue, and you're talking about it from a black and white issue. That's not the case. I'm not a racist, because anybody with the love of God love all people. That's right. That doesn't mean that you don't get frustrated.
That's right.
That doesn't mean that
you don't get angry.
You don't get angry, but But I love everybody.
And I do too.
Now, sometimes it's hard to love. Now,
Yeah.
I don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that I'm just this perfect. It's hard to love sometimes when you keep seeing these
The
things.
same behavior,
But
same
just-
type of
but-
acts over and over again.
But as black people, let me say this: we can't put all white people in one category.
And
just
that's
like we
definitely-
don't want them to put us in
one category.
You have to make sure that you put it in perspective. These are people with hardened hearts, with dark hearts that racism has been rooted and been embedded into them. And it's a lifestyle, and
Yeah.
really, if you think about it, it's not just white cops. It's all
It's all cops.
all
It's,
color
you know,
cops that have this mentality towards black men.
men, especially. Yeah.
Because of their build, because of their strength, and from the beginning of time, they have always been feared, and there has to be a voice.
And yes, I don't hear the voice. I don't hear, I only hear the voice when something happens right away. I don't hear the voice that I'm looking for. A consistent sound.
So-
it needs to be a consistent
But we
sound.
can't. But so I feel like as believers, I'm talking to the believers now. I'm talking about the warriors. I'm talking about the intercessors. That we can't grow quiet when it's quiet.
That's right. I like that. That's a good point. We cannot grow quiet when it's quiet. That means that we need to begin prayer meetings or force, and it needs to be impactful and empowering, because we only react when there's an action, and we shouldn't do that. Because we've heard these stories of the past, there's some other things that we need to talk about tonight, but we need to begin to collaborate. I'm talking about throughout all denominations. It's not segregated, but we need all black, white, Asian, Hispanics. We need all denominations to come together right about now and begin to talk about what can we do.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for calling. Remember, you can call in and share. The number is 334-269-6789. We have a caller, Quinzetta from Montgomery. Quinzetta, thank you so much for calling Hearts and Heels. Please share.
Men and women white with Confederate flags, carrying guns, all in the state house. Why didn't they call the National Guard then? That's what I'm trying to figure out. They had guns. And these people in Minnesota, it was a peaceful protest. They started out peaceful, but then it ended up wrong. It should be looting, but I just want to know, why didn't they bring the National Guard when the people was on horseback all in the state house? That's what I'm trying to figure out in Michigan.
Okay, you're talking about when they were protesting the quarantine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't bring the National Guard then.
You know what? I'm with you because they were carrying guns.
Guns.
Yep.
They was all in the state house with guns and Confederate flags. And I'm trying to figure out, why didn't they have the National Guard? I'm so sick of all this double standard. I don't know what to do. I'm not like I tell everybody, I'm not a racist. I'm a realist.
But you got to know who initiated. Mm-hmm.
No, thank you. We and again, we were just talking about that. We don't consider you a racist, but I'm with you. Where the madness comes for our social media listeners, her question is, where were the National Guard and all these people when they were carrying guns to protest the quarantine and protest us staying in home for our safety? And I'm with you because that was one of the questions that I had. These people.
To our government and anything besides 45.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, Quincy, thank you so much for calling Hearts and Heels.
I just wanted to open up that can of worms, but I haven't heard anybody mention that yet.
Yeah,
They
you're right.
talking about what they doing. Hey, it's time for, and I be trying to wake up because I said, man, it seems like I'm back in the 60s.
Jesus.
It seems like we're back in the 60s.
It feels like that sometimes.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
It's so sad, but I know we just came above that, and now, I'm going to remember what Michelle Obama said. When they go
Low, we go high. And that's how we have to keep that. All right, thank you.
much.
You do too. Bye-bye.
And I'm with her, so but this is my question. How many times do we go high? Like, how many times do we go high above this? So that, I think that's something that we have to think about. Like, at what point are we going to stop? Like, I think someone was even calling for him, the young man, to accept an apology. At this point, you know, we're beyond the apologizing. And you're right.
It's time for laws being made, and not
policies being changed.
Why? And I'm going back to that George Floyd guy. Why wasn't he tased? Why would he had to be put down and pinned down with his knee in his neck, couldn't breathe? Like, why wasn't other action taken? Why was he on the ground? Before all of these things that happened, he was clearly walking and was able to talk. And so things like that bothers me, because we will attack our black brothers first before we even ask questions and assume the worst.
Assume they're doing the worst. Always assuming that they're
yes.
And so you know what? I'm not even gonna contest him putting him on the ground, because there are some parts of the video you can't see. But this is my issue. The moment that he stopped saying something to you, or the moment he said, "I can't breathe," you mean you couldn't let up a little bit? You couldn't give him any. And see, that's what I'm saying. Like, where we feel like life is
he was already
invaluable. Like, he already had
he already had to have handcuffs on, so he could. It was nowhere he could go. And plus, if you can't breathe, you can't breathe.
Well, let me say this. I'm gonna let everybody know, who, just in case you didn't know, black men's lives are important and they are needed in this society and in this world. I'm reminded of the song. I can't remember, but I think it was like Black Brother back in the day, when she said, "I love you. I'll do for you."
I don't know the song.
Anybody know it? Go ahead and let us know on social media. But I do want to say this, that, you know, they are needed, they are desired, they are wanted, and their life matters. Yes. You know, and I believe in saying Black Lives Matter, because they do. That doesn't negate anybody else, but that does say that there's an importance to the people that you are constantly killing. And see, my problem is not that this violence isn't on other people, on white men, white women.
That's right.
That they're not experiencing those things, but the proportion, the
proportion is different. It's not proportion.
It is.
That's the difference.
It is, and we can't continue on this cycle. And the other thing is, we can't just keep talking about it.
There has to be a policy. There has to be united front, like we talked about earlier. There has to be something else we could do besides, you know, I see a lot of messages on my Facebook and things like that and comments, but where are our leaders? Where are they? We need to come out. We can't hide. We can't ignore these situations. And I'm calling all the civil leaders to come forth. And that not only that, sometimes the civil leaders will come forth, but we won't support them.
Because we hide behind it, because it's easier to hide. And, you know, I know we feel threatened sometimes, and I know this seems like a big task, but I'm gonna say this to the person that God is tugging on, that the person that God wants to use. Do not allow your fears to take over your destiny and your purpose and what God wants to do with you, because this has to be a God move. If we go back to when the laws changed for us to have the right to vote, so let us go ahead and put that out there. Vote, people.
Go vote. It matters. So your vote matters.
Your vote matters. That movement happened because it was built upon a foundation and they were led. We need some leaders who are built upon a foundation and that are being led. And we're not. I don't need no Bible beaters. That means they don't just quote these scriptures saying we got love. We have to love,
and that's what we're doing.
I'm loving, but I love everybody, and I love the people who are dying at an extremely high rate. I love them enough to say it's time to stand up.
And love is, you know, universal. So again, we want to make sure it's sound. There are other people that are going through, there are other people that have been killed, but we're specifically talking about all races can get together on this issue. And we know we've done it in the 60s and we're doing it now, but it needs to be a more united front. Right. So I'm calling out on all races, all colors to join in with us to have a more powerful voice in this, because the guy Cooper, he has some friends, and Floyd has some other friends, not only in black races but other races as well. So this was a united front. When we talked about Martin Luther King, it was all people. We're all in this together. We're all in this together.
And that's what I want my sisters and brothers across the world. Like, you need to speak up. If you see that this is injustice, because whether that man was black, whether he was white, whether he was Asian, whatever he was, what happened to him was completely wrong. And we have to start standing up when we see these things wrong and come together. It is such a hard time to walk through these things and not get so angry, not get so frustrated. But I'm asking.
And then we have to also make provisions for our young men. Like, what about our young boys? If they're pulled over, I've seen movies as well, how we train our young black boys to put their hands on the
even in doing that
steering wheel.
Matter.
Yeah, that doesn't matter either. And it doesn't matter the color, the tone of your complexion. The melanin in your skin, it doesn't matter. You can be light skinned, what they say. You can be light, you can be fair, you can be brown, you can be chocolate, dark chocolate. They're pulling every race over because it depends on, sometimes they pull you over because what you're driving and what neighborhood you're driving your car in at what time of the hours. It's not just, because of you walking the street. It can be because you're a racial profile because of the car you drive. Yeah. So it goes beyond that.
And no one has been immune to that, because we've had lawmakers, we've had representatives, we've had movie stars, we've had athletes.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've had everybody to go through these experiences. And let's address this rioting. I know it's rioting going on there, and I'm praying for that city.
Yeah.
And praying for those people.
Is it Minneapolis?
Yes, that's dealing with all of this. I'm praying for them. We do have a comment from Facebook. Thank you, Sister Jackie Henderson, for sharing with us. She says, so many times we are judged by our outerwear, but there are so many other people that dress the same way but are not judged the same. It's just the color of our skin. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you're right. It's just the color of our skin.
It makes me think about the Trayvon Martin case.
Ooh, girl, that's a whole nother.
It makes me think about that. It depends on what you're wearing. I know, and I'm going to tell you a story about me real quickly. I was in a business area, and I was dressed professionally in this. And I went to this place several times, right? And this particular day when I went in, I was dressed professionally in a business suit. And the whole room stopped because they thought that I came from, I'm trying not to say too much information, but they thought that I had come from a higher office status. They thought that I was like an investigator or something coming in to review the area that I was in. I had people was giving me so much attention, but when they realized who I really was, they were like, "Oh, okay." But it's because I had the suit on.
Yep.
But I tell you, we can do this role play. When brother walks in a certain area with a suit on, that their attention is given differently. If that same brother walking at 6 months later with some jeans or some jogging shorts on and a shirt, his attention will be given totally different, opposite of what he received the first time. So people do look at what you're wearing, how you speak, and how they do look at that.
Mm-hmm.
And you immediately judge because of that.
And then get mad when you speak well.
Yes.
Listen, stay tuned. You're listening to Hearts and Ears. If you want to join the conversation, you can call us at 334-269-6785. Shout out to our Facebook, Instagram listeners. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're listening to Yolanda Kelly and Shay Robinson. We'll be right back. Thank you guys for joining us. I know we said we're going to talk about why the people cheat. We finna talk about it now. We're going to switch over.
We're going to try to, because I need to calm down.
Look, I could be on this all night because this injustice and the things that's happening is really a lot. You know,
it really is.
It's disheartening. So go ahead, let everybody know to come on in. We actually going to talk about why we cheating, I guess.
Yeah, we could talk about it, but there was some other things I really want to mention.
Go ahead, please.
And that was about our brother Top just passed. The young man was drowning.
Yes,
so, you know, like, I don't know if the enemy is just so strong on our culture, on our black men, but I've heard in the last 2 weeks that 2 guys drowned. Senselessly. You know?
Turn it down, the very top button.
So, I don't know what's going on, but I just think that we need to put that out there as well about how people encourage the, why are they encouraging people to do some stuff they're not supposed to be doing? Jesus. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Welcome back to Hearts and Heels. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to give a shout out to all of our Facebook listeners. We appreciate you guys sharing with us. We do right in the midst of the break. Yolanda Keller was talking about. I'm gonna say this because I know. I was just telling my husband, it was so funny because the other day I was just thinking, like, you know what, we didn't understand why the quarantine was here, but usually around this time, you see that young people pass because of accidents, car accidents
right.
around graduation time. You notice
Yes,
that
you're right.
every year around graduation
graduation
time, it's a whole lot of things that's happening.
That's a
and
good
I was
point.
like, you know what, God, we missed that season, and unfortunately in Montgomery, Alabama, we just had a tragic accident with one of the young men here. His name is
Chop.
His nickname, His name Jamar Smith.
Jamar Smith.
Smith.
His nickname is Chop. He went to Robert E. Lee High School. He was graduating.
And I think a good football player.
Yeah,
He was
football and basketball.
Football and
And he was
basketball.
headed to UAB to play there. So we definitely want to send prayers to
the
his
family, the Smith family.
and all the people that he impacted, because I've seen so many people talk about, him and his personality and the things that he's done in the community and giving back, and just the type of young man that he is. And it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate tragedy. He was swimming and
I think it was like the current took him, and
Yeah.
I think that
That
he was trying to swim to the and got tired. But see, here's the thing: we have to. Just be careful. We have to be careful.
Yeah.
And that's somebody's son, somebody's nephew, somebody's child was lost because of this. And we're praying for the Smith family, and we're praying for those who knew him as well, that the peace of God will be with you. And I'm kind of done. This makes
What
me
the
real
hell is
sad.
happening?
What the hell is happening?
Yeah.
And so, we are having some heal of a moments right now in our society, throughout this country, throughout this nation. And so, I don't know what's going on, but I know we need to get back to our first love, and that's Jesus Christ, and in prayer, that once we begin to do that, he said, if my people who are called by my name,
to humble themselves.
yeah, okay. So
Thank you so much for joining us. We've talked about what the heal of a moment, and don't think that this subject has gone by the wayside. I am in constant prayer about God and what to do, because if you understand spiritual things, then there's a spirit that is over that
definitely
entity,
spirit, right?
Which is the policehood. There's a spirit that's over that entity, so we definitely have to pray against that. Tonight we started off saying that we were going to talk about why do people cheat.
Yeah, we're gonna get to it. I'm ready.
And last week we had a great discussion about why do people cheat, and one of the things that someone talked about over, and I don't think we shared last week, is completely selfish. That people cheat simply because they're selfish. And I agree that they do cheat because they're selfish, and we gonna come against that selfishness. Is all I have to say.
I know. I'm transitioning my thoughts too. Yeah, because people cheat because they're selfish, and because we had talked about choices that they have decided to make, and in those decisions that they make, it's just not good. And when people cheat, is feeding that flesh, thinking about themselves only, and it's just. I don't know. It's dangerous nowadays, but because sometimes when you cheating and the person you cheating with has gone crazy, and so we got to be careful out there. And we talked about some signs of when people cheat as well. But I mentioned last time that there was some kind of gut feeling that you have that your significant other is doing something that he should be doing because you feel it. It's just something that we feel. And when that person is being selfish and it's all about themselves or what they feel and they think is right, or they hiding, because a lot of times our first sign is that you're not honest, because most cheaters are liars.
They are. Now, but so there's an important aspect to cheating that we definitely need to talk about, which is the other person. So in this cheating, there is that couple, and then it's the other person, a third party that you bring.
So
into
you talking about a side chick,
side dude. just the side pieces.
And so there's a song.
The other.
Have you heard that song?
Yes.
I mean, like.
And then when you play that at a wedding, that's wrong.
A wedding. Let me tell you something.
I heard somebody play that at a wedding.
I heard that song. It's like me and my side piece. And
he said, ain't nothing wrong with it, too. He said, it's nothing wrong.
But here's the thing about it. So how do one become a side piece or a side chick? How do you... And I thought about that.
In all honesty, one of the things, we give the side person a bad rep, and it is, because some people are intentional in what they're doing. They intentionally go after someone who is in a committed relationship because of their own selfish desires.
So what you're saying is, because I have a ring on my finger, it doesn't matter to some people.
Oh yeah,
that they want to be in a relationship because they don't want to be tied down.
Yeah,
because a lot of times the side person knows about the married person, because we talked about it last week, the married person. So you're saying they know about that person and it's okay.
And most of the time they're friends with them.
So you saying the side chick is friends with his main woman?
Yeah, most of the time you have some let's be honest, most of the time it's somebody within your circle.
And I believe you on that. I believe you on
not
that.
even your close circle. It could be just someone in your outer
extended circle. Yeah. Your extended circle.
Yeah, it's someone that you know.
But what would make that okay to have a relationship when you can have something on your own? Is it because your lack of commitment? You don't want to be in a committed relationship?
I've heard some women that have confessed their faults. and one of the things that they've said is, I just don't want to be in a committed relationship. So, he gives me everything I want, and then he goes back to his wife, and she got to deal with the rest. And so I think that's, again, that's a selfish thing. It's selfish on both of their parts. But I think it's so many reasons. I think it goes, like you said, I think it goes to a deeper a place.
It has to go to a deeper place, because even in that place, it's almost like you don't really value who you are. For me, I couldn't be nobody's side piece if I knew it, because that means that I have the lack of confidence or in myself to want to have more, and I don't want anything part-time. If I can't have you full-time, I don't want you part-time. And so, and I think about,
And we had this song. Did we have this song called Part-Time Lover?
Yeah.
And Secret Lovers.
Yeah.
Oh,
now, I like that song. That Secret Lover. Secret Lover. It's like, what? How it goes?
Really?
Wait. Let's stick right there. Wait. How does it go? Secret lovers.
We both know that we both belong to somebody else.
But we have to.
We can't
let go.
We can't let go what we feel, because it's so real.
Yes, Shay. I'm so glad you brought that. And so some people think that secret lover is so real.
It's so real.
And it says we have to be careful. It's because it's way after 9. But that's a good point.
But it says we both belong
to someone else.
So you committed yourself to someone else, but then you have decided to enter into this relationship. Now let me give you. Go ahead.
I was gonna say go ahead, because I was gonna say what makes it so real when you both belong to someone else.
Because it's a fantasy. It is a fantasy. You are living in a fantasy world when you're out there cheating. Let me tell you why. Because you're only getting the piece that they want to show you. The wife or the husband have to deal with the whole part. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's right.
When you're out there with someone else, you're only showing the good.
But don't you think, no, that's not always true. Because I think that they deal with both of it. That they see it. Because say, for instance, the woman, I'm just going to use the woman. The woman's like, I need you to stay at home. I want you to spend the night. And he gets angry and say, I can't spend the night. We see it. We see a peep of it or glimpse of it.
Yeah, but he buying flowers to make you feel better.
He don't have no money to buy flowers. So he taking care of home?
Yes, he does. He does. He find a way to buy you flowers to make you feel good when he go back to the house. And he's going to text you when he's there. And you going to feel like he's mine. You may have had, wait a minute. Did we had this song back in the day? He's mine. You may have had him once, but I got him all the time. Y'all remember that song?
I don't remember that song.
Oh my God, that was my jukebox days. You remember jukebox on TV?
I don't know that.
He used to play that song over and over again. And then here we go. Here's another song. As We Lay.
Oh yeah. Now I know that song
about the price we had to pay.
As We Lay.
And then
and how much the pain it has caused.
she said
Now,
we should have
so-
counted up the cost.
But see, here's the
But instead,
thing.
we
There
got
are some
lost.
people out there that it's okay with you to be the side piece,
we got
the
lost in the
side
seconds and the
the
minutes and
side-
the hours.
side chick. And so what makes it okay? And I'm not bashing because that's not what I want to do.
At
But
all.
I do want to understand from what point that it was okay for you willingly and knowingly that you were the side piece and you were okay with it. He may have paid your rent.
Why is that
or,
acceptable to? Why
Yeah.
is that acceptable for you? So here,
It's-
and I'm with you. We're not bashing you. We're
Right.
not telling anybody.
I don't wanna
if
do
you're a
that.
side dude or a side woman, we're not bashing you. But what we're telling you is to look and see what it is that's making it okay for you to be that side person.
And let me say this. I think, and I want you to really think about this. I think we have always, that we've been, like, I think that at one time, all women have been a side piece or a side chick. We were like in between relationships. And we, think about that. I'm thinking about it right now because it was like, I meet this guy, but he's in a relationship. And have y'all heard this word? It's complicated. Like you're in a relationship with somebody and that person meets you and they said it's complicated. I've heard that so many times. And
it's complicated.
then you single and you stay in it waiting for the uncomplication of that relationship.
Or my marriage is on the rocks, or we're separated.
Yeah, I'm
those
telling you,
things.
I'm gonna go ahead and admit it for those of you that needs some clarification on it. Here it is. I can remember this way long time ago, but I remember in a relationship, met somebody who was really, really nice, and he was in a relationship, and he told me that it was complicated, and that person was they were living together, but they were not together, and that person was going to eventually move out. I'm telling you, I waited until, I couldn't wait no longer. And so I think a lot of times if we're honest with ourselves, because I need
have all
deliverance.
been aside
And so,
from
and that was the part. So for me to speak out tonight, I'm just being real honest with you. Some of us have been, but it's our choice that we make to stay in that relationship or to get out. Because again, the way I feel is if you can't have me full time, if I can't have you full time, I don't want you part time. And when I looked in the mirror at myself, I realized that's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
Because if that relationship means a lot to you.
But why did you look in the mirror? What was it when you looked in the mirror? What was the thing that made you say, this is not what I want to be?
Because my self-worth. Like, I did not want to go along hoping and wishing that person would leave. And I felt like, hey, you'll do it to me. I think about that a lot. So I just think I have this value that I think that I'm greater than, and that I was not going to be staying in a relationship.
But what was so special about that relationship that you even felt like there were thoughts for you to stay, or you had a commitment to stay for even if it was a day or two? What was so special about that relationship?
One of the things that was special it's new. Somebody was giving me attention that I never had. And so in that attention.
So I think we're getting down to it now. So they're giving you attention.
You interviewing me now. That's good.
good.
But it was the attention that I was getting that I never had.
Yeah.
It was something new, something different. And then even in that, it just didn't feel right because like he had to go home at a certain time. And I'm going like, And you can't call somebody late at night if something wrong and you had a thought, or you couldn't call the individual. So, but it was getting that attention and filling a void. We talked about that last week. And a lot of times we are lonely, but then I just feel like at that time I didn't have the relationship that I have with God now, but because I did not have that relationship, I felt lonely. But something just about my morals, something about integrity for me,
Just start
like,
blowing up.
mm-mm.
Do you think every person has that? Like every person that's in that type of relationship, do you think they have that thing that's really telling them it's not right, but they just keep moving past it anyway?
I do. I think we ignore signs. Like when we feel, that gut feeling like, man, I should stop this relationship, I should end it. We begin to think about all those feelings that we gathered from that relationship, from that unethical, I call it unethical, I'm just making up a word, but that relationship, and we hold on to it. But then sometimes we miss out on our true blessings.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it, because I was blessed in the end once I left that relationship. If something is for me, this is how I look at it. It's going to find me. Notice what I said, ladies. If something is for me, it will find me. And I don't have to do anything special to let it find me, but I do have to release all those things that's holding me bound, holding me back to get to the true essence of who I am. And so once I look in the mirror and I realize, hey, I have integrity, I have morals, I have self-respect, and I love me. And when I found that I love me, how God loves me, then I don't need anyone to validate who I am.
So it was more like a false sense of security.
Definitely.
And you felt like someone, and not just you, but sometimes you feel like someone is fulfilling that loneliness or that place that you think is void, but really it's a false sense of loneliness. It's like the shadow is not really there, but you feel like it's there because it's that momentary feeling, because when that person is away, you have that same loneliness.
It goes back. You get back in that same little place. And so, sometimes we accept this type of relationship being the side piece or the side chick or the side dude because of the feeling that we get, but it's a false sense of security.
Yep. Well, listen, we got to take a quick break, and we'll be back. You're listening to Hearts and Heels. Stay tuned.
Oh my gosh.
Shout out to you listeners. Thank you guys for staying in with us. Look, we know that we switched really quick, but we had to come back for a second.
Yeah, so it took me a minute to come back because
thank you for sharing your testimony, by the way.
Well, I didn't know I was gonna share my testimony. It just kind of slipped out. But I wanted to be I'm a real person with real situations, but I thank God for deliverance, and I thank God for teaching me, because if it was not for those lessons, I would not be here.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I think that's part of, as matured people, I love the scripture, and this is what Hearts and Heels is founded on. They overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. It's our testimonies that deliver other people and let them see they can come out of that situation, because you understand what it feels like, or you understand those moments that they had to be filled, and so you could tell them, no, you're worth more.
Yes, no, and that's why I don't come from a place of being judgmental, because it's about ministry. It's about what I had to come through and who I am, who I had to become, even in that, and then live with some decisions that I made over time.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the things that you have to think about. Like, can you live with this decision forever? I remember I knew this lady growing up, and she was in this relationship, and I never understood it. Like, I was so young, I didn't get it. But she dated this man who was married for all her life.
Wow.
I mean, for all I can remember. Mm-hmm. He never left his wife. She never wanted him to leave his wife. And she was okay with their arrangements, whatever it was. And when I got older and I realized what was happening, because at the time, of course, I didn't, I was thinking to myself, what was it? Why did she feel like that is all she could have?
Why do you think she felt that's all she needed? Or she could have.
I think as women, let me say this for the women. I can't speak to the men's, but for the men perspective. But I think it's women that sometimes, the attention, it's the one thing you talk about, the attention that we get makes a difference. So if we're not getting a whole lot of attention, and then someone can see from a distance that we one of those people that's not getting that attention, then they can play on those type of emotions.
But what you're saying, when this woman was in this relationship for years, let me just say this, is no longer attention. That has gone out the window. That first kind of twinkle in your eye is attention. But then it's began to be lack of integrity, lack of morals. You know what I'm saying? Because you can always change that. I understand. Like, I don't want to waste all my years on somebody that I ain't married to.
Look, let me tell you, we got some comments from Facebook. One comment from Sister Jackie Henderson. She said, so people become number 2 out of necessity, etc. Power, water, gas, grocery. Okay, amen. Thank you for sharing. We need those bills paid. I mean, all she needed, Ray. Thank you, Ray. Hey, Ray, that's my classmate. Hey, okay. He said all she needed. I think that may have been all she needed. But why? Why is that okay? And him too. You know, why is it okay that having a piece of this thing is okay? You know, why is it that we okay with sharing? I don't like to share my water bottle.
And sometimes
I can't share no man.
let me just say this. It's sometimes Shay don't want to share a water bottle. But it's sometimes, like you said, like it's sometimes it's just that way. And I think about older people. I've grown up to love older people, like back in the day. And if they lived in small communities, people knew that, like, across the street, that was your daddy girlfriend. And I'm just being realistic right about now. And there are some people who are listening to me now, probably nodding your head and saying yes. And it was everybody in the neighborhood knew that Mr. Charlie was married, but yet he was going with Miss Louise across the street.
And those are his children.
And there are his children. And that was the norm. And no one said anything. And so it was acceptable. But I'm still thinking about your morals, like integrity. And I'm not judging anyone. I'm just stating what was going on. And that woman, Miss Louise, never did get married because she was in love with Mr. Charlie, and Mr. Charlie's wife knew about Miss Louise. So what about cases and situations like that?
I don't get it. I mean, I don't understand it. But then, you know, I wasn't there during that time, so I can't explain it. But I think that's why a lot of the music, and I playfully talk about music a lot because I love music. But we do have another comment from Ray. He said, "Why?" He said, "That's the brokenness that needs to be fixed." Amen.
Amen. That is.
That is.
But you know what I'm talking about, like being in small communities and and that is a brokenness that needs to be fixed. And guess what? We went to the same school. We went to the same church. We played in the same park. Pastor knew it. I was gonna go somewhere else with that, but
Pastor was the culprit.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah, Pastor would go and eat chicken at everybody's house.
At everybody's house.
We say eat chicken.
And you had, 12 siblings. Your mama had 7, and Miss Louise, had the others.
Yes.
I can't do my math that fast, but you get my point.
Mr. Jack, we played Better Right last week. She said, "Don't blame Mr. Charlie. He's just a man," and that's what it was. I think we gave so much.
But let me just say that was social accepted. It was, remember?
Yeah.
It was like that. But let me tell you what I think it is.
So now we're trying to break from that social norm.
But watch this. Let me tell you the root of it. You want me to tell you?
Yeah, please.
Slavery. That's the root of it. Think about it.
Okay, let's talk.
So the root of it is you knew what was going on. You got it?
Go ahead, girl. Go ahead. Go ahead, because I got some things now. She didn't.
It's some stuff I just don't know.
Come on, go ahead.
You knew what was going on, and it was accepted because I don't really want to go there on the air. But okay. it was accepted back then, and we could not say anything. And the reason why it was accepted back then, because you would have your head cut off. You would be killed. And so it's deeper. And we have began, like, remember, we're talking about what happened in the 60s because it was social accepted because everybody knew. And then now, back in the 60s, and then some of that has trickled down into our family line.
One of the things that I've always said is because women were taken away from husbands, or the master would sleep with the wife, and the husband could really say anything, and because of that, it broke his spirit, and then he felt like I need to be a man in different ways, and he probably was, he felt some type of way because he couldn't save his wife. So yeah, I can understand those things, but and I can understand that. Let me say that I can really truly understand that. But I think we have to break those curses. Like, those are curses that are still trickling down, and our children are being affected because not only it's a spirit of lust. Let me just tell you about it.
That's true. It's a spirit of lust.
It's a spirit of lust, and lust manifests itself in so many different ways that lead to other things.
And that's why we have that side chick and side dude mentality, because it has been accepted. Let me just say what I mean by that. And let's just 21st century, you know that your girlfriend is single and she is dating, just say, a married man. And so you
I
find
know
he comes
those.
over to the house. He celebrates her birthday, Mother's Day, and what have you.
come out to dinner with y'all.
Yeah, he comes out to dinner, and we all know it. And what do we say? Closed mouth. We don't ever minister. I'm not saying we need to minister to her in private on the side. And the more we give her the word, it should go to the heart.
Yeah.
And so,
But
again,
people are going to church.
they go to church.
That's
too.
that's what I'm saying. People are
'Cause-
going to church in these relationships.
And they know it.
And they're dealing with this, and I really do feel like it is. I'm with you, Ray, when he talked about the brokenness. I think there is so much brokenness that we don't deal with prior to relationships as women. I can't speak for the men.
Let me ask you, since that is a comment, and I don't know if we addressed it properly, but if it's brokenness, is it brokenness for the man or brokenness on the woman?
I think it's both.
Because, we, as a man, and I don't know nothing about a man, but I just believe as a man.
We giving y'all our opinion on
Yeah.
me.
You want to be accepted. You want to feel valued. You want to.
See, I think that's what happens with a man, that sometimes he doesn't feel valued at home or doesn't feel respected at home.
And he can find that respect somewhere else.
Someone's not massaging his back and, ooh,
Yeah.
you the best. The thing about somebody with strength, sometimes they want to be told that they got strength. And let me say this, and I'm not saying this anybody's fault at all. Please understand that. But as wives, sometimes we can get so engaged with everything else that we can forget.
We can get engaged with our career, the children, the house, and then we forget about the one who supports us. We sometimes forget that you need your ego. Can I say your ego stroke and not be offensive?
But so let's switch sides really quick, because we got to close the show out.
No.
Let's switch sides really quick. So let's think about the woman. It's just like women. I need you to understand. It's just like when you hear a woman say that, all he do is work. And you thinking to yourself,
what you think he's supposed to do?
And you think to yourself, all he do is work. Girl, you got you a good man, but she has stepped out on this man because she said all he does is work. So this is the mentality of the man. I am taking care of this home to provide for you, and I have to go out here and do these things so you can sit in the house and I can just go out and pay these bills. So she is upset and frustrated about that. So it's the same mentality.
But you got to make sure you going to a job, man, not to your part-time lover's house.
I'm saying the ones who are actually doing the right thing.
Okay, I'm just making sure we keep that clear. And the woman
has stepped out, because women cheat too. I know we say we don't.
Yeah.
We may cheat a little bit smarter than men, but we do cheat. If there is a such thing.
Yes,
okay.
it is a such thing.
I mean, but we talk about these things, so there are things that you're missing. And again, I am not saying it is the man or the woman's responsibility to keep someone from cheating. No, we make our own decisions.
And I think that's a choice that we got to remember, be intentional about in our relationship, being monogamous in our relationship. We got to be intentional about giving our partner attention, love, affirmation. I love that word. Confirmation. We have to be intentional or telling our partner how we love them and spending that time. I know you just said about men working. We still got to spend some time.
Yeah.
And you, just because you're working, men, we just using this as an example.
Yeah.
You still have to be intentional with that spouse being at home. And when you do have a chance to come, sit down with her, hold her hand, rub her feet, massage her back. And likewise, women, you do the same for him.
Look into each other's eyes. Sometimes you forget just like simple, intimate moments. Walk in the house and look into each other's eyes and gaze for a second.
Sniff her neck. Nip on her ear.
Yes.
Be intentional.
And women, say thank you so much for doing whatever, because what Ray said, brokenness for both. But we got to think about this. Sometimes it's just the little things that we need to do to make each other feel real, real good and feel wonderful about, what we're doing and in the midst of that situation. So make sure, men and women, that we are taking care of each other. And we're going to we'll continue this conversation next week, because we got a lot of things to say about the side chicks, side dudes. We're just getting into the top layers, and this is nothing bad, because it's all about healing here. But we have got to get down so we can break these generational curses.
We got to get down to the root of the problem.
Yeah, and stop allowing these norms that's come from the past to be our present. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I can't believe that hour's gone by so fast.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Yes, we appreciate you sharing with us tonight. Shout out to our listeners. Thank you so much to our caller, Quinzetta. Thank you for calling and sharing. I love your passion, and I
Yes.
appreciate you listening.
Thank you.
Now, we just keep going higher and higher every week, so make sure that you stay tuned with Hearts and Heels, and make sure you have a healed kind of week. We gonna live 6 inches above the enemy, above all the craziness that's happening.
Yes.
And whatever we do, we're gonna do it with all our hearts. Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, and we'll see you next week. Thank you all for sharing with us tonight. We appreciate you. We know it's a good week. I had planned to play this video, but we wanted to switch gears because we do want to talk about these other things as we deal with this. My final thought for the night: pray for this nation, and pray with me that we start getting a strategy to attack
the enemy.
Amen. On all sides when it comes to this this police brutality.
God has not given us a spirit of fear.
No, He's not, and it's too many scriptures out there that we can draw on, that God has given us the foundation that we need. So make sure you say a prayer for this nation.
Amen.
And y'all pray for us, because next week we coming back and we talking about why do people cheat, and I'm gonna try to keep Militant Yolanda off the Militant Yolanda and Militant Shay won't be back next week. No promises though.
No promises.
We love you guys. Appreciate you. Thank you. Make sure you share, comment, come back next week. We're gonna have some more conversations. You just don't know how much we appreciate each and every one of you every single week. So meet us back here next week. Thank you so much.
Tell some friends, your family about us.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes.
Have a good night.